So this is Hollow Knight for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm about 3 or 4 hours into it. And I just wanted to do a quick video. I don't know how long I'm going to talk for, to be honest. I'm just kind of getting my thoughts out there. So this is kind of my initial impressions video for it. But I suppose up front, I'm enjoying it. It's a really little nice game, to be honest. If I'm perfectly honest. It's a side-scrolling 2D Metroidvania, so it takes inspiration from the old Castlevanias and Metroid games in that it is a free open world, but you are restricted from moving around it by the abilities that you have when you start the game, and as you adventure through it, it steers you kind of into certain areas, and when you overcome challenges in that area, you'll be given new abilities. So I'm about 3 or 4 hours in, so there might be some kind of minor spoilers. I think mainly this is kind of just random gameplay that I recorded, so I can talk over it so you have something to look at while I ramble on. But it's only 3 or 4 hours in, so I haven't really done a huge amount. I've killed 1 or 2 bosses, and I've acquired, I think, 2 abilities. One of them, as you've seen, there's a little dash, and you're probably just seeing kind of roundabout as a little wall jump, but I don't think that's too big a spoiler if I must be honest. Oh, there you go. So straight off the bat, this is a hard fucking game. Now this is just a boss fight I kind of ran into, but I think the game suggested that it's probably too early for me to fight these guys. There's a little character you met before this area that said, yeah, your sword's a bit rubbish. Come back, and you might want to upgrade it before you try and fight these guys who are called the Mantis Lords. And I think these might be an optional boss as well. So yeah, this is Metroidvania. You know, it's all about exploring. It's got a lovely, like a really nice art style. It's all kind of hand drawn. It's all very kind of dark and gothic. It's both cute and kind of sinister at the same time. And there I go, there I die. I'll be dying a fucking lot in this video, right? It's a hard game. It's got really nice art style. Everything's fantastically animated. Everything looks really beautiful. I love the design of the central character, who I'll be honest, I thought I was Hollow Knight, but I'm not so sure, to be honest. The story's quite ambiguous. So this is a Metroidvania game, but it's not unfair to say it's very Dark Souls-esque, which is a tired phrase in itself, but I think this one is particularly justified. And here's me trying to fuck up a jumping puzzle. This is probably the hardest jumping puzzle I've seen yet. There I go, straight in the drink. But yeah, this game is very Dark Souls-esque in that it's hard. It presents this very intriguing and minimalist world to you, doesn't give you a lot of context of what's going on. And just kind of says, off you go, and you do meet characters, much like in Dark Souls, who will talk to you, and they often give you kind of cryptic statements, and it kind of alludes to what's going on. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure. Even after 3 or 4 hours, I've got the vague idea that you are some kind of being who has come to this town and this underground labyrinth under this town to free or re-imprison some kind of godlike beings, but it's all very vague of whether you've got noble intentions, whether you've got sinister intentions. None of it really is clear from the off, and there's a lot of monuments you can find in the game that have little descriptions on them, and there's not really any voice acting as such. It's all text, but characters do speak. They've got like little voices. It's a bit like what you see in Zelda games where people, oh Christ, there's an explosive bird or bat or something. It's a bit like Zelda where people kind of make noises and grunts and stuff, and characters have a lot of personality, and it's really cool and really cute, and the character designs are great. There's all sorts of different kinds of enemies. You see, the combat is really hard. Again, it's quite Dark Souls-esque, and I'll probably die again quite soon. But yeah, the presentation of this game is fantastic. The art style is great. The music, which hopefully you can hear a little bit of in the background to this video, is fantastic. It's all kind of somber strings and very melodic, kind of quite melancholy melodies playing throughout the back. And it again is very Dark Souls in that you feel like you're exploring a kingdom that's fallen to ruin. So I suppose really the only thing I do know about the story is, as I say, it seems to be that there's some kind of godlike beings involved that I'm doing something around. Don't really know if that's a thing or not. Maybe just me kind of guessing. But essentially there's this town on the surface, and there's this giant labyrinth underneath, which is meant to have a city at the heart of it, and all the denizens have been kind of affected by a malaise that's turned them hostile, and you're venturing in to kind of plunge, I suppose, to extract the treasures and explore its depths and see what's down here. That's as much as I'm getting. So yeah, this much like Dark Souls as well. This is a hard game. I'll die a lot probably in these footage, and unless I record quite a lot of gameplay tonight before I recorded this video, and a lot of it was me wandering around figuring out what to do next and dying a shit ton, either because I was just being careless or I really wasn't paying attention to the enemies and they were just taking advantage of me. Yeah, so I'm in. I think this is like the third or fourth area. It's called the City of Tears, or the Eternal City of Tears or something. It's like an underground city where it's always raining. It's cool. I mean, the map, as I say, it's kind of open world, but it's not. You're restricted depending on the abilities you have, and the map kind of opens up as you go about your business and collect abilities. And this is about the third or fourth, but they're all incredibly different. So this is a very kind of, it's all metal and stone, and there's water pouring everywhere. And this is a really, really atmospheric zone. And there's one of the characters. So you meet lots of people on your travels and talk to them, and they give you kind of hints. And there's a zone which you probably saw me earlier in the video, which is all grass, and it's called the Green Path, and it's like this really, really thick, sweltering jungle. There's another area which is the fungal, I think it's the fungal grotto or the fungal caverns, which is all kind of like lumpy rocks and mushroom and fungus creatures that spit poison out, and when you kill the enemies they explode, and it's really, really tricky. There's tons of variety so far, and I don't feel like I've seen even half the areas after so many hours. I get the impression this is a game that I can probably finish in 10 to 15 hours, but in order to see it through to the bitter end, I've heard reports that it's going to take about 30 hours, which is a lot of bang for your buck, because one of the things I haven't yet mentioned is this game is only it's not $15 even. I was going to say I bought it for $10.99 on the eShop, £10.99, and I mean, straight up, that's not a lot of money for the amount of content in this game and the quality of the content in this game. There you go, City of Tears. And it's always raining when you go outside. So it's unbelievable value, this game, because this game came out last year on PC and eventually other consoles. I believe PS4 and Xbox One. I could be wrong on that, because I'll be honest, this is not a game I follow too closely, other than I heard it was good and I knew it was coming to the Switch. And to be honest, I tend to buy indie games like this on the Switch now. I like that these games are ones I can play on the go, and the reason a lot of my footage is 3 to 4 hours in is because I played the majority of the first couple of hours in handheld mode, and I just didn't have it hooked up to my capture card. So that's pretty much why I'm spoiling maybe slightly something slightly beyond the beginning, but that's the only reason why. So I've been waiting on, and as I say, £11, and I actually got it closer to 10 because I had some gold coins from the eShop to give a discount. So for £10 it has got an amazing value proposition. And what's even better is it includes 3 lots of DLC. It includes 2 DLCs which add content, and a third DLC called Lifeblood, which is essentially was a rebalance and a revamp of the core game, so for when it came out on consoles, just to give it an extra layer of polish. There's sometimes nice little hand-drawn cutscenes like that introduce things, but yeah, fantastic value. And I hear some of the DLC stuff is nefarious. Like it's just nefarious in how difficult it is. So if the base game's giving me a lot of trouble, I'd say 3 hours in, majority of that's probably just been dying to being overwhelmed by different enemies that get thrown at you. There's a ton of things to do in this game. It's very, very impressive, and it's all really, really tight. The platforming handles really, really well. It opens up as you get more abilities. Well, see, I've only got 2 abilities, so I probably maybe am jumping the gun on that statement, but as soon as I got the wall jump, the game just, it opened up right in front of me, and it was impressive, to be honest. I really, really, all of a sudden it just clicked for me. It was, when I first started, it was a bit of a slog. It was difficult, but it clicked for me as soon as they started throwing abilities at me, and it didn't take that long, really. And I say I was struggling with it. The kind of charm and the art style of everything really carried me through there. So yeah, I've got to say, a few hours in, it's hard, but it's got enough charm and enough depth and quality. And again, like a Dark Souls game, it kind of pulls you down the rabbit hole, quite literally in this game, because you are getting deeper and deeper into the subterranean layer. And as you see there's kind of switches behind doors, and that will eventually become a shortcut for me. I guarantee it. I'll come round from the other side and open the switch, and it'll be a throughput. Again, very much like Dark Souls, which opens up the world and makes it easier to traverse as you get deeper into it and progress through it. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying this game. It's great in handheld mode. It's nice to hook up to the TV and just appreciate the art style in kind of full HD. In terms of recommending it after my first few hours, I personally think I would. I think this is definitely worth it. It's, as I say, it's cost so little in the grand scheme of things. It's got so much content that it's hard not to recommend. However, again, keep comparing it to Dark Souls. It's not for everybody. It's a challenge. It's frustrating. So I'm probably going to die here very soon. But when you die, you go back to the last bench you rested on. So instead of bonfires, there's little benches you sit on, like little park benches, and that restores your health and saves your current kind of progress. So if you die, you go back to the last bench, and you leave a spectre behind from where you died. And you see I'm collecting like coins. I've got 178 of them now. They're called Geo, and they're essentially the currency of the game, and you get them from killing enemies and smashing Geo rocks and opening chests and things like that, and use it to buy upgrades and stuff. So it's fairly important. And if you die, you drop all your Geo, you leave a spectre behind, and essentially, again, like Dark Souls, you have to make your way back to your spectre, slay your spectre, and if you do that, you get all your currency back. But if you die on the way, or the spectre kills you, you'll lose all your currency, and you've got to start from scratch again. So it's risk reward, and it's getting there and making sure you take care to get back to your body. You can't be careless in this game. So many of my deaths are just because I'm trying to rush through and get somewhere in particular, but it doesn't work like that. But yeah, I suppose the one thing I didn't really touch on is the combat. So I'm trying to sharpen my sword there, but the combat is fairly straightforward. You've got a sword, you can swing in all directions, up, down, left, right. You can jump and swing. Enemies are pretty tough. They take a few hits until you upgrade your sword later on, I'm assuming. I've done it once now, and so like you see, it took 2 hits to kill that bug. It'll only take 1 with the first upgrade, and I think you'll get progressively stronger upgrades as the game goes on. They haven't opened up to me quite yet. And the combat's pretty easy. So I mean, you've got a little health bar. So you've got masks on the top left corner. I'm only down to 2 at the moment, and when you lose all them, you die, and you get your spectre, and you got to get back to it, like I've just said. But you'll see if there's like that white orb, and I can't remember exactly what the game calls it, but I've just been referring to it as essence. And what you can do is you can channel that, and you've probably seen me do that a few times. You can channel that into your health bar, and you get essence for killing enemies, and also attacking these specific shrines that exist in the game world. And you can, as I say, you can channel that into health, but it also powers your special abilities. So one of the first abilities you get is like a burst of energy, like a fireball that you can fire out of you, and that drains the energy as well. So it becomes this interesting resource where you can devastate enemies with special attacks. And there's one of the benches, so I'll now go back to that if I die. But you'll channel your essence into special attacks to devastate enemies, but you don't get any back from killing enemies in that way. Instead, what you have to do, it's kind of balancing channeling it into health and channeling it into abilities, and it's a nice kind of like it adds a little bit of depth to the combat, and it's an interesting mechanic that I really like, and it kind of constantly adds choices. So it's a lot harder to fight these enemies with your sword, especially early on when your sword's pretty weak, and if you're as bad as me, because I just charged into him. But it's that kind of risk and reward. Do you play it cautious? Let's say I've just done my blast, but I've drained most of my essence. So it's that, and I assume you'll get more abilities that drain it, because at the moment that's the only one I have. But yeah, it's a nice mechanic. The combat's really fast paced. It requires a lot of timing. It's good. It's really solid. Everything about this game is solid. The presentation, the pacing, the level of difficulty and challenge it presents, it ties really nicely into the mood of the game. Yeah, so as I say, I would thoroughly recommend it. I'm a big fan of like Dark Souls, and I like Metroidvania games. The last one I probably played, mind, is probably something like Guacamelee, which I absolutely loved. Played it on hard, finished it, completely devoured that game. this is a slightly different. I mean, that game is hard, especially on hard mode, but this is a slightly different level of hard in my eyes. This is kind of, as I said, it's that kind of take your time, don't be an idiot, don't rush through it, you know, master it. You can't just kind of button mash and frantically fight your way through it. It's a different kind of difficulty, so it's a challenge though. I'm enjoying it. So I like Metroidvania games, so yeah, I'd thoroughly recommend it. For £10, £11 if you don't have any discount, or maybe even less if you do. Them gold coins expire pretty quickly, so it's worth spending them. It's not, I don't think it's worth keeping a hold of them. But for what it's worth, I can't help but recommend this, on the caveat that you've got to like Metroidvanias, you've got to like challenging games, you've got to like that kind of dark, atmospheric atmosphere. That's fucking good. You know, you've got to appreciate that somber tone and that sense of mystery to really get the most out of this game. So if you like Dark Souls, then you'll probably really dig this, I think, unless you really don't like 2D kind of platformers, action platformers. But yeah, I think this is a fantastic little game, and I definitely will be playing more. In fact, as soon as I finish this video, I'll probably go and play a little bit more. It's intrigued me, and it's unraveling its mysteries, and I might come back and do a full review about it, but I don't know. I haven't decided if that's what I want to do yet. But for now, it's definitely leaving a really positive impression on me. And it's at the moment, you know, I'd recommend at least checking it out if you have any interest in it.